Hello, everybody, and welcome to Keys to Preventing Rewounding. And I'll be talking a bit about some trauma myths. This is Carolyn Eberly, founder of Mind Energy Body School of Transformation. So, one of the questions I'm going to invite you to explore is, can pain really become that energetic portal back to wholeness? And what do I mean by pain, emotional pain, life challenge, difficulty becoming an energetic portal, like a vortices back to wholeness? First, let me just give you some background of who I am. I'm a licensed professional counselor. About 10 years ago, I got my master's. I also teach something called horse-initiated psychotherapy, where the horse tracks the energy and the client and interacts in a way to help them awaken to what aspects within them need healing. They kind of mirror the energy really well. I also attended 6 years at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. Barbara Brennan is a foundational teacher for me, and I was a teacher trainee at her school. I've been a Qigong teacher, I've done Reiki 2, Healing Touch, massage therapist, I've been a meditation teacher for years, spiritual traveler, traveled around the world studying various forms of healing. I'm an author of a book called Explorer's Mind, A Map to Freedom. I've also been trained as a somatic body-centered trauma therapist. I'm a brain science enthusiast, exploring, the physiology of healing and awakening. I used to be a lobbyist for the disadvantaged in Washington, D.C. I've worked overseas in a women empowerment project in both Bangladesh and Nepal. And I call myself a consciousness nerd. So is that really who I am? Or are these things, and I want you to explore that, are your credentials who you are? We're going to explore, who are you really? Because these credentials are not necessarily who I really am. They may mirror the truth of my wholeness. But in the work I teach, everybody has a whole healed aspect within them. And over their lifetime, they anchor deeper in to the truth of who they really are. And we'll talk more about that later. So at the end of this presentation, you will be able to know and understand what advanced formula can prevent rewounding. I'll also provide you with what are the energetic keys, the mind, energy, body keys to prevent re-traumatization, and more deeply understand the brain science of trauma in the body. So what is trauma? Sometimes when I talk to people and I mention the word trauma, they're like, well, I wasn't traumatized. But there's two major definitions for trauma that I like to use. In Boulder, they often talk about big T trauma, such as, if you had a car accident or war or rape or something, some major event that traumatized you and created post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. But there's also little t trauma that over the lifetime, just like a drip of water will wear away a rock over a time, little life events that feel overwhelming and stressful can create a level of trauma in your body. So what I like to say is just simply being human on this physical plane and yet still very much a spiritual being can feel re-traumatizing. So I want to invite all of you to be as empty as a Zen bowl. I'm going to present information that you may never have heard before and may on some level feel familiar yet new. So please, as you sit with me over this period of time, please bring in what I call that explorer's mind, that curiosity of openness, and see what new things can come in for you. Okay? So this is a picture and an animation of energy center that Barbara Brennan calls the first level of the field. Within the structured grid of our energy system, sometimes it's too thick and too thin, and yet we can use the consciousness within us to rewire it, reawaken it, and realign it. So in the energy systems we'll be talking about today, there'll be structured grids, but we'll also mostly be focusing on the unstructured levels of the auric energy field, those that hold trauma and challenging emotions and false sense of self. And so I want you to I invite you to open to the frequency that what I'm going to teach you today is different than a lot of the other orientations that you may have learned. What I'm presenting today is an invitation for you to develop internal self-mastery skills. And if you work with clients, to interact with them in a way where they too develop self-mastery skills. So at this amazing conference, there were presenters on sound healing, on inner sight, on Qigong, and those are wonderful, wonderful external resources that can help you embody more of your wholeness. But what I'm talking about is a little bit different. What I'm inviting you to develop are these keys to working your own internal system using your own consciousness as the energetic tool throughout the day. So it's a little bit different as, yoga, exercise, sound healing, all these other modalities can support you in implementing what I'll talk about today. But my orientation is more about you developing this internal self-mastery skills and you learning, if you work with clients, how to teach them those same skills. So pendulum diagnosis and hands-on healing protocols are great, but what I'm inviting you to awaken to the possibility that you have the ability throughout your day to self-regulate back to the bigger, more brilliant you. Because there is an actual energetic portal, there is a wholeness within you. Check out this video. You are brilliant beyond measure, and that frequency that's showing on the screen right now of your wholeness, you can learn more and more year after year to anchor deeper into that brilliance throughout the day. That's what I'm talking about. So, sessions that you receive or healings or Qigong practices can be an external resource to supplement some of the amazing things we're going to talk about in this presentation. Because emotional pain cannot be avoided. There is always going to be this primal limbic part of your brain that's going to feel things deeply and want to feel rewounded by them. And yet, those painful things, those life challenges, that divorce, that death, that separation, that job loss, that metaphorical Mount Everest you feel you're climbing right now is really only an energetic vortex to bring you back to your wholeness. So let's begin with a meditation to give you an experience of who you really are. No matter what level you feel you're connected to that bigger spiritual wholeness, which I call the core being, there is an even bigger wholeness that over your lifetime you can embody more and more. I call it inchworm. Bit by bit, we incarnate more of our wholeness. It's not like at birth, the incarnation process is over. In fact, that's just the beginning. So take some time to kind of breathe into your body. Feel the amazingness of being in this physical form. It can be a joy and a blessing. And that's really what I want to awaken with you. So put one hand on your solar plexus and just kind of breathe gently into that area. The energy vortex for what I call your core being. In the Brennan system, it's called the core star, is 1.5 inches above your belly button. So I want you to, with your hand, kind of find that place 1.5 inches above your belly button. And bring part of your awareness there while the other part goes out to the heavens above. Splitting your awareness half in your body and half to the heavens above, to remember a time before birth when you were essence, spirit, awakened. And that part of you wanted to come down into physical form and be born and experience and incarnate deep into the gifts of who you really are via human form. So kind of imagine the color, the spirit, the essence of your wholeness. And imagine it coming down from the heavens above into physical form through the top of your head, down the neck, even below your beloved heart, into that vortex 1.5 inches above your belly button. Breathing into the center there, imagining it the size of a golf ball. And just like an atom splits, imagine you're bursting forward, that essence of your brilliance being born, incarnated, and expanding in this human body. Breathing into the center, imagine the sparks of your essence expanding even more from the size of a golf ball to the size of a volleyball. Just like a balloon expands, imagine it expanding front, back, top, bottom, left, right. Always breathing into the center, at the center of that vortex, expanding more to the size of a volleyball. You are brilliance incarnating into human form, even deeper. Breathing once again into that center, remembering the brilliance of who you are, allowing it to expand even more from the top of the head to the bottoms of the feet. Breathing, expanding, always going back to the center and expanding out, just as a balloon expands, with the essence of your spiritual wholeness. This is as you learn to self-identify as this frequency of wholeness, your whole life can change. You prevent rewounding. It's one of the major keys to prevent re-traumatization. And we'll talk more about that later. Let's just keep breathing, expanding into the essence of your wholeness. Allowing yourself to breathe into the center, expanding outward to that whole outer energy egg, about 2.5 feet from the physical body. Imagine tingles and flows, feeling it both as a sensation of a tingle and flow and as a frequency of consciousness, the emotions of your brilliance, your wholeness, the bliss of being home within you. Breathing into the center, expanding out. Imagine it equal sensations, front, back, top, bottom, left, right, equal bliss of being home within you, front, back, top, bottom, left, right. Connecting breath with awareness, expanding, balancing, expanding, balancing, really awakening that beautiful center within you. And in your own time, gently, slowly, come back into the room. So from this high frequency of your wholeness, I want to ask you a really important question. It's one of the major myths I teach about. And that's, are you the emotional pain, the negative belief, the difficult challenge you are feeling? I just recently worked with a client whose boyfriend broke up with them. They lost 2 of their major clients. Their income fell down. And I asked her, so is that who you are? Or is that the energy, that energetic template, that grid, that frequency of reality that's being asked for transformation, wisdom, kindness, and love? For if you are to prevent rewounding within yourself and or your clients, when you feel that emotional pain, you must also know that you are so much more. I call it holding 2 places at once. We'll talk more about that later. So you are so much more than what you can conceive you are. Unfortunately, when we or our clients rewound, as they are feeling their challenge, as they are walking the path of their life, what they think they are, if it's not at least partially anchored into the truth of who they really are, that's when the nervous system gets dysregulated. That's when the limbic and primal parts of the brain get overly activated and the higher functions of your higher self disassociate, rewound, detach, or shrink. So let's have an example of this. I want you to place one hand on your thigh and kind of imagine the energy from that hand going into the bone. Just notice what happens when you do that. Now I want you to think that you are bad, that you are wrong, that you are broken, that you are hopeless. And as you think that, see what happens to the energy of your hand. So for me, the energy that was in my leg, it pulled out, it disassociated. Sometimes it gets prickly with pain. Notice the effects of when you think your sense of self is broken. How does that affect the energy? So now I want you to reconnect to that core being, see the light of you, and then let the energy go back into your thigh. And imagine the love and kindness you can send to the human aspects of you that might be having challenge. Imagine that you are not your emotions, but you are the transformer, the healer of the parts within you that are asking for love and support. So for this client whose boyfriend broke up with her the same day she lost her major client, imagine that is just an energetic frequency to transform. In my secret code training, it's a core coaching training, it's 14 modules online that you can take, and it's in a community setting. You learn the 5 skills, 5 steps, and 5 spiritual laws so that you actually get the skills not to be that emotional pain, that challenge, that energetic template when your partner breaks up with you or when that challenging moment appears in your life and things feel like they're falling apart. So as you take this journey, I'm going to ask you to overcome another myth. Clinicians that work on the emotional realms, they're taught in school, I was taught to ego resource my clients before they felt emotional pain. Well, for me, I don't want my sense of self to be defined by my ego. I want my sense of self to be defined by my core being. So one of the myths I would love for you to overcome is not let your ego define your value. Instead, core being resource. Allow yourself to develop the skills, whether you use my system, the secret code system I teach, or you use another system. I invite you to teach your clients to notice when their ego is supportive and when their ego is either arrogant or negatively judging and attacking them. Because that core being resourcing is one of the first keys to prevent re-traumatization. So what does that mean energetically? Is there a higher frequency of subtle energy and consciousness than ego? Yes, I think you're following me here. It is the core being. So if while you're feeling an emotion or while you're holding space for your client to feel an emotion, if they are defined and valued by that negative emotion, they will rewound. Their nervous system, again, will get dysregulated. Instead, I want you to learn how to track the ego. Don't identify as the ego. I teach an exercise called Where is Waldo? So I invite you over the course of today to track your ego. Where is Waldo? Is that ego beating you up? Is it supporting you? Or is it your saboteur? Track your ego, but self-identify as your wholeness. And I can send you a YouTube link to this rock sand demo that I do that helps you explain this a little bit more. So imagine you have a glass and it has some sand in the bottom of the glass, and that sand represents your wounding. And then place some pebbles and rocks on top that represent your negative defenses, because we all have them. It's nothing to be ashamed about. It's part of how our brain and limbic system and midbrain and defensive systems, primal brain works. We develop defensive structures that cover our wound so we can't feel it. So your defense may be denial, it may be disassociation, it may be collapsing into the pain. Whatever your defense may be, know that that is not the truth of who you are. So if you put water into the glass, it represents the high vibrational consciousness of your wholeness, wisdom, and positive creation. But if you only add a little high vibrational consciousness, you will only feel the defense or the pain of that deep, deep, deep wound. And that is rewounding. That is not the quantum level of deeper awakening. That is not you incarnating more of your true self into physical form. So I'll send you a link to actually watch the demo if that is something you want. And explore, what do I mean by high vibrational consciousness shifting the pain? What do I mean by pain is the portal back to wholeness? It's the difference between processing emotions, trauma, negative beliefs, life challenges, processing the reality you're living, as opposed to transforming that negative reality, that emotion, that negative sense of self. I don't know about you, I don't want to eat processed food, though I do. At times I choose the junk food, but as I heal deeper and deeper, I choose whole, healthy food. So what I want you to walk away with is the ability to transform throughout the day in the moment using whatever system you want, but I invite you to check out The Secret Code, my online training, or my certification programs, so that you can learn how to shift that frequency and no longer process emotion, but transform throughout your day. And yes, we can use things like sound healing, meditation, qigong, exercise, yoga as external support to help us. Yet I want you to get the deeper long-term self-mastery skills of doing it within yourself using those 5 skills, 5 steps, 5 spiritual laws, or whatever system you find. I just want to invite you to not be abused and re-traumatized by the emotional pain. There is a better way. There is a deeper, longer-term self-mastery skills you can embody. And yes, getting a massage and getting energy healings and sessions are great supplemental support, but wouldn't it be great to walk around all day with the ability to instantly transform back to your bigger self, out of defense, in this brilliant, brilliant, brilliant manner that awakens the deeper truth of who you really are? Just like feeling is not always healing, there is that new paradigm you can embody. So I call the LVC, low vibrational consciousness, that negative experience you're having, that negative emotion of anxiety, difficulty to sleep, depression, sadness, over-identification of the pain. The LVC is your emotional response to being abandoned or being mistreated or betrayed or being left. And you can transform all those things to the HVC of your high vibrational consciousness. And the energy will tell you what is healing and what is causing more pain as you develop the subtle energy skills to track that in yourself. You don't need a pendulum or an external device. I can really help show you how you can see, sense, and track the energy within you and within others throughout the day. There's this thing called the window of tolerance in trauma work. It's when you are not able to transform the LVC to the HVC because there's just too much lower vibrational consciousness of that LVC, and there's not enough anchoring into your core being, that high vibrational consciousness, and you're brought out of your window of tolerance. And yes, life is an art form. You can't always prevent being out of your window of tolerance. Recently, my husband was laid off at the same time I changed my business to a new online model, and it was a heck of a challenge. It brought both of us out of our window of tolerance. Yet with the skills that I teach, can bring you back in so you can transform the lead, metaphorical lead, to gold. You can get that magic ticket, that self-mastery skills. And I'm going to show you this video. Is that everything is particles of energy? What is transformation? How do we shift what isn't working in our life, or help our client shift it back to what is working? And why is paying the portal back to wholeness? So I'm going to give you a little demo here with white paint and black paint. So white paint and black paint are metaphors. White paint, yes, is the metaphor for HVC, high vibrational consciousness. And black paint is the metaphor for LVC, low vibrational consciousness. So if you have enough high vibrational consciousness, if that enlightened observer, if your core being, your spiritual wholeness is connected enough to the pain and challenge in your life, it will transform. So if you're feeling anxiety, depression, insecurity, trauma, whatever it is, hopelessness, whatever it is, as you learn how to resonate at HVC, high vibrational consciousness, using the 5 steps, the 5 skills, and the 5 spiritual laws, you can then transform that lower vibrational consciousness, that hopelessness, that terrible, terrible experience into wisdom and wholeness. So the trick is, you've got to have enough high vibrational consciousness to transform as much of the pain as there is. So here's white paint, right? And so I'm going to add a little black paint. Consider this emotional trauma, your boyfriend broke up with you. Look at how much you have to actually have of the white paint in order for transformation to happen. So if you are lost in disassociation, defense, hopelessness, and you're not really mastering the transformation skills, it can be very hard to shift pain to power, right? And that was only a little bit of black paint. When we're dealing with deep trauma, you have to have a heck of a lot of white paint in order for it to transform. In other words, your energy system has to be so much bigger than the pain. If your sense of self shrinks to the size of the pain, trauma, insecurity, you're almost all black paint, and it's going to be really, really difficult to transform. I hope you enjoyed that little demo. That's actually an excerpt from my online class where you can learn more about this. But the basics I want you to get from this is rewounding happens unless you have enough high vibrational consciousness. I call it holding 2 places at once, where you have to actually be able to touch the pain, because you can't change something without having contact with it. But if you're over-identified and you touch it and you merge with it, you actually become the pain. So yes, you have to touch it, but you have to have enough high vibrational consciousness. Otherwise, you're just processing it. You're not transforming it. And you can rewound yourself or your client. So holding 2 places at once is a very important key to learn. Very important skill to learn, and very important key in preventing re-traumatization. Here's an example of the trauma in this diagram being smaller than the pain. Yet if the field shrinks to the size of the trauma, that's when rewounding happens. So let's talk about where trauma is held. This is a video I'm going to show you, an animation video I'm showing you of the emotional body. It's emotions, negative emotions about ourselves. Anybody out there have negative emotions about themselves sometimes? Well, you can use those negative emotions as the energetic portal back to wholeness as you learn these transformation skills. Check out the video. This is when I suck, I'm bad, and it's transformed to, I know who I really am. I am that spiritual wholeness. So transformation can happen in the physical body, in the cells, which rewires the brain to higher consciousness. Here's a video of the auric level of the field where ancestral pain is held, relationship pain. Anybody ever have relationship challenges? Pain is held. Where Past lives, pain from past lives, if you believe in them, can be held. And check out the animation of as you learn the keys to prevent re-traumatization, as you learn the steps of that long-term self-mastery skill, they can transform back to wholeness. So what I teach and what I'm passionate about is I do not want anybody to be abused by their negative sense of self or the emotional pain. I used to event horses over these big jumps cross-country jumps, and the horse would actually hunt for the next obstacle to jump. He was that embodied, that emboldened, that deeply connected to his essence. I want you to hunt for the next emotional pain challenge within your mind, energy, body system, me, be, works system. Mind, energy, body, me, be, works is what I call it. The me, be, works system. Because you can transform it and you can do it throughout the day. After all, when you take a bath and there's dirty bath water there and you let the drain go, you don't say, oh, there goes my sense of self down the drain with the dirty bath water. Well, throughout the day, if you're not transforming the negative frequencies here on earth, whether they're somebody else's energy or your own energy or just life challenges, even the stress of driving can create metaphorical dirty bathwater in your energy field. If you're not transforming them and leaning into the pain at least once a day, I recommend you self-regulate 100 times a day, and it can become automatic and easy. If you're not transforming that on a regular basis, it builds up. I want you to have those internal self-mastery skills, those long-term approaches. And yes, things like sound healing, yoga exercise. For me, I ride my horse, I bike. All these meditation practices are great, but I want you to have the skills to metaphorically shift your dirty bath water, lean into the pain, and come back into your wholeness. Because, there's this myth that to feel is to heal, but actually how you feel determines if you heal. And again, that's my passion. I really want to help you learn how to feel, the secret code of how to feel, so that you heal. So in the brain science of trauma, there's something called the polyvagal theory. The vagus nerve is what you see here, this vagus nerve. And it runs through the facial muscles and through all the major organs. And I can tell you a little bit now, but in my trainings and also in my blogs and free resources and newsletters, if you don't have the money, I provide a lot of free resources. You can sign up for a free video training and transformation kit on my website to learn more. Because I don't want any single person to leave this presentation without at least glimpsing how that negative feeling and emotion can be an actual energetic portal back to your wholeness, joy, self-mastery, bliss, conscious creation, so that life can become a joyous playground of awakening and wholeness. Because of something called polyvagal theory, which is part of brain science that I can teach you about, because of something called neuroplasticity, you can rewire your brain and body systems back to wholeness, because I call it the biological consciousness container. Unless it's rewired, unless you have the skills to rewire it, you cannot obtain higher consciousness. You cannot incarnate more of your wholeness into the physical body. You cannot create a wider window of tolerance. And you can feel abused by the hardness of life. And I don't want that to happen to you. Because as you learn to track the energy of feeling, in a manner that you can tell that the trauma, the negative belief is energetically, the past lives, the lineage, I teach all this stuff, is actually transforming. And you don't have to use an external device like muscle testing or pendulum diagnosis. You can actually learn how to watch your client, watch yourself, see the energy, transform back to wholeness. You can become that empowered. I would love to hold space for that possibility, that reality of truth that can happen for you. Because feeling is not healing unless you actually learn how to transform in all three maybe work systems, mind, energy, body systems. It can have a semblance of healing. It can have a temporary relief of pain, but I'm tired of those short-term fixes. For me, I want self-mastery. I want to anchor so that I look forward to feeling the pain because I can transform it. So chakras are actually energetic portals that hold emotional challenges and that can awaken. And you can actually learn how to shift and rewire and spin your chakras on some level. It's more complicated than that. Check out this animation of her shifting the chakra frequencies that hold distortion. So as we incarnate from the top of our physical body into the lower chakras, the root chakra, we awaken to actually finding our life task and living our life task. I love to hold space and support for you, either in private sessions or, I have free resources too, so that you incarnate more of your wholeness and you embody that life task, why you were born and who you are. On some level, all of ourselves' life task is to be kind to our human and self-identify as our spiritual wholeness and embody more. I started that website, bekindtoyourhuman.com, because I want to launch a campaign where all of us self-identify as our bigger self, our spiritual wholeness, our core being, as I call it, sending love and kindness and transformation skills back to our human, our beloved human. So this is an animation I'm going to show you of the line of intention. There is a special energetic frequency, it's magnetic energy, that creates a level of detachment so you can find your way back to your wholeness and transform. It helps you hold two places at once, touching the pain but self-identified and anchoring energetically into enough HVC. So this is a broken intention line. Barbara Brennan calls it the horror line. It's an actual different energy dimension than the auric energy field. And here's the animation of it realigning back to the life task, realigning all the chakras and awakening the brilliance of detachment so you can transform pain to power. Kind of cool, huh? And again, in my weekend trainings, my online classes, and my certification programs, I teach more about this. And my blog is free, my newsletter is free. Yeah, I just want to help each and every one of you anchor into your brilliance, no longer being rewounded. So in adult attachment theory, it's an actual physiological response system. There's 3 types of unhealthy ways we connect to one another. One is called disorganized attachment, avoidant attachment, and insecure attachment. And what you really want is you want secure attachment within your core being. And from that place, you then can connect to others in a healthy way. Yet when we say we're unsafe, it's often usually our ego that is unsafe and creates unhealthy attachments between us. In my trainings, I'm really wanting you to understand the psychological theory of attachment. It It helps you understand how not to merge with the emotional pain and how to create safe, healthy attachment and connection with yourself and not your ego. Because if your ego doesn't feel safe, it dysregulates your brain and body system, and it helps you collapse into your wounding. We don't want to be helped to collapse into our wounding or our defenses. We want detachment, differentiation. So in the work I teach, your ego at times is not going to feel safe. And I want you to learn how to embrace, I can track when my ego's not feeling safe, transform it, and anchor into secure, healthy, adult attachment. So another trauma myth is that you are defined by your ego. In the attachment theory that I teach, adult attachment, is I teach you to self-identify as your core being and not ego. And that is really one of the major keys of preventing rewounding. So unless you rewire your brain and body systems, your maybe work systems, you will go to that place of profound forgetting. We all do it. But once you rewire your brain and body systems, there gets to be this tipping point where you may feel overwhelmed by your emotions and could re-traumatize, but there's a part of you, a part of what I call your core being mind, your higher mind, that doesn't forget anymore and can come back quicker online. You see, my definition of enlightenment is not staying at that high frequency forever. It's the ability to come back quicker and quicker. And that's what I want to hold space for you all. You get to lose yourself. It happens because you are in this biological human form, biological consciousness container, I call it. You will lose yourself. Yet you can get to a place of coming back quicker and quicker by transforming those lower frequencies in your maybe work system. So is your mind your brain is the question I want to ask you. There are times when your mind resonates at the frequency of that organic brain, right? It happens. Yet, as you learn the superpower skills, I call them, yes, you are a superhero. And as you are a superhero, you get to rewire your brain to higher consciousness and self-identify as that core being mind. Because that is what healing is. It's more and more helping your higher self be in charge by changing that biological consciousness container. Because you can't change unless you change your brain. And that changing the brain takes doing it throughout your day. Again, yoga, external meditations, qigong, support like that can help us, can be resources supporting us. Yet you need to create a system, a self-mastery superpower system of shifting that quantum reality throughout your day, rewiring the brain and body systems, learning to love and be kind to your human by holding two places at once. So change your brain, change your reality. Yeah? And you are not your brain. Self-identify and learn the skills to resonate your mind at a higher frequency from the brain. Because if you don't have that higher frequency and you have two things at the same frequency, you're just going to repeat the same. Have you ever wondered why you get stuck in your life? It's because you need a higher frequency to get unstuck. Let me help you find whatever system does it, but I want you to live from the knowledge, the deep self-mastery knowledge that you can, throughout your day, get unstuck, get the wisdom, change your reality. So say yes to the keys to embodiment. And I hope you say yes to my secret code, learning the secret code, learning a system, either through one of my certification programs, my free resources, or something you already know, so that you discover how to lean into the pain so it transforms. Say yes to leaning into the pain because you can transform it. If you feel trauma as if it defines your value, you risk rewounding. Learn how to feel it from your core being. Say yes to that. So what is the secret code? Some of the major components and keys as a review of this presentation is self-identify as your wholeness. Learn to hold two places at once. Track the energy of whether you're processing it or your clients are processing it or true transformation happens. And again, you don't need an external device. You can learn how to sense and see the energy in yourself and your client. Know the map. Where are you really going? Who are you really? If you know who you really are, then you can return back to that place. Transform, don't process. Know how to feel to heal. And throughout your day, reprogram your biological consciousness container. For Rick Hansen discovered that there is a negative bias of the brain. You do have to develop a system. And I'll just want to tell you a little bit about my system. It's based on 5 spiritual laws that provide the foundation and rationale for the 5 skills and steps that transform emotional challenge to difficulty. So for you, what are your most difficult emotions to transform? Where are they held in the body? Take a moment now to kind of be curious about it. In my private practice, the 3 most difficult emotions to transform are victim consciousness, shame, and fear, anxiety. Yet you can develop those superpower abilities. Because brain energy patterns, that old template, is so addictive. And when you actually begin to break out of it, you need extra support. Sessions, support, family, friends that invite you to lean into that discomfort that feels so unnatural so that you can overcome that it's dopamine in the brain that makes it feel like you should not change your patterns. It sets a template of doing the same old pattern, unhealthy pattern, repetitively. So you're going to have to feel some difficulty, some uncanny, unhelpful sensations and emotions when you change your patterns. And yet, they can transform. And in terms of illnesses that are difficult to transform, and I want to just really invite you to be cautious if you work on anybody who has a neurological or a neurological system like MS. You have to really be careful about the energy of something like the nervous system MS or an anxiety disorder. If you charge that frequency versus, well, it's complicated, how you work with that really, really dense, fragmented, shattered energy of the nervous system of illnesses like MS or chronic illness. Really be careful because you can rewound clients very easily. I also work a lot with cancer, and if you actually put energy and charge the cancer, and that energy is at the same frequency of the cancer, you're going to create more cancer. So on some level, I don't want you to love the cancer or merge with the cancer. You have to really be careful whether a higher frequency is connecting to the cancer. Otherwise, you can actually love it to grow. So yeah, get the support you need to not rewound, to overcome those negative addictive patterns, to really learn those superpower abilities of transforming those difficult emotions. Because I don't want anybody to ever be that emotional pain or challenge. Yes, it's simple. Don't be the pain. Detach, differentiate. Don't disassociate and don't get defensive or collapse into the pain. Those are key elements. And yes, it's simple to hear them. It's much more difficult to guide yourself and your client and to be able to really track that at that quantum level. Yes, once again, there is this negative bias of the brain, and you do have to reprogram your maybe work systems. So you learn those superpower skills of self-regulating back to core being. And I just want to really, really emphasize one last thing, that you need to learn how to do it both as a sensation and emotion in the mind, brain, and body systems, the maybe systems. Yeah. Both as a sensation and emotion. So many of us will either feel the emotion or the sensation, but the deepest level of transformation and preventing rewounding is to feel both. But again, how you feel determines whether you heal, and that's when you have to be the CEO of your life. So I'm going to invite you to shine like the whole universe is yours. Live from the deep knowledge that you are not the pain you feel. Let your bigger self be the CEO of your life. You can learn how to change the frequency. You are not a victim, although that energy can knock on your door. And we're never really done, right? Because there's always more light. And as long as we have a limbic system, we're going to have emotional reactivity and emotional pain. So even though your skills advance, your superpower skills advance, it's a misnomer to think that you'll never feel the overwhelm of pain. But what I'd like to invite you to open to is you can want to lean into the pain because you can transform it. And that means live from now non-duality, where you don't judge the negative emotion and negative event in your life. You know that it has shown up for you, not to you. That's one of the spiritual laws I teach. That's the foundational principles for change. Live from non-duality. Embrace your wholeness. Know the truth of who you are, because how you feel determines if you heal. This is when pain becomes the energetic portal back to wholeness, wisdom, and positive creation. Peace does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. It means you can be in the midst of those things and still be the wholeness of who you really are. So I'm sending you so much love and kindness, and there are some free gifts I'd love to offer you on my website, and give me a shout out. I can send you the links to them. And yeah, I'd like to offer you a free 20-minute consult on what is your tipping point. What is the emotional pain that is the tipping point back to wholeness? That if you find that lower vibrational consciousness and you transform it, your whole life can change. So yeah, give me a shout out. I'll give you a free 20-minute consult. Sending you so much love and kindness on the way. Also, I've got a book on Amazon, Explorer's Mind. It's a workbook as well as a book with tons, hundreds of exercises to help you awaken. And it's on discount now through Amazon. It's, again, The Explorer's Mind, A Map to Freedom. Stay in contact, sending you so much love and joy along the way. Aho.